Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with someone that has a passion to heal others. So, Candice Mishkin, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here with you.
I'm sorry, Reverend. Thank you for
Yeah. But thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here and be able to just chat with you a little bit.
And share your story, because you come from California.
I do.
To Venezuela.
To Venezuela. To Aventura. And right now I'm in beautiful Puerto Rico. So
and now Puerto Rico. So you have a very interesting story that can shed a light to a lot of the things that people don't know.
Yes.
That really people don't know. And you talked to me about that you thought you were a mistake.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I believed for many years that I was a mistake. Part of that belief system came at a very early age. And that's very typical, that our belief systems are usually created in our formative years, which are, from birth to 3 to 5 years old in there, and I heard year after year that I was a mistake, that my sisters were planned, but I was the mistake baby. And not only was I not planned, but I had 2 older sisters and my parents wanted a boy. So I was a mistake on several levels. Not only was I not wanted, I was the wrong sex. And that was expressed, and I heard those things throughout, much of my life. So, a lot of the beliefs that we have, we're not even, they're in our subconscious. They're buried in the garden of our hearts. And the lies that we believe that don't line up with the truth about who we are and who we're created to be, those manifest in our lives. So I believed I was a mistake, and therefore my life began to manifest those things. If you believe you're a failure, you're a failure. If you fail at one thing and it doesn't work, it does not mean that you're a failure. It just means I failed at this one thing, but it does not define me. When we allow our experiences, culture, things that have been spoke over us by authoritative figures, which means teachers, parents, people that have much influence in our lives, and those lies take root in our hearts. Many times, and most times, we need help to overcome those beliefs and lies and receive the goodness and the truth and the love and the life that we're created to live out our dreams, live out who God created us to be, right? So, yeah. So,
part of believing that you were a mistake, did that contribute to all the years that you were addicted to crack?
Yes, 100%.
How did that start?
Well, my mother, I was born in Southern California, and I had a very privileged life. I had everything that you could want in the physical realm. Houses, nice things, private school, famous people in Newport Beach, California. I mean, just an extravagant life. But I was not, my mother was an alcoholic, but she was a functioning alcoholic. So she would work every day, but in the nights, and be there, but in the nights when she would come home, she would begin drinking and then not be available for for me as a child, right? And I was the last one and a mistake. So she raised my two older sisters, but then because there was a lapse of some years, she had basically moved on in her life and went back to work. And I had somebody that took care of me, and I believed I was not wanted. I was rejected. I was abandoned. My mother didn't love me. So, and my mother drank. And my father was a workaholic, and he was a rageaholic. So although he never abused me physically, there was a lot of verbal abuse and emotional abuse and anger in the household. So a lot of fear.
Was it the same with your siblings or just with you?
In what regard?
In the rage and the verbal abuse.
Yes, my father had that in his life for as long as I can remember, and with all of us. It didn't start only with me. But we're all different. We all have different ways of coping and reacting, and there's fight or flight. So with me, there was flight. So I would just want to escape. So as a young child, in order to escape these difficult situations, I would, go to my room, or I would retract. My response was hiding. I remember going into my room. I even remember going into the closet and shutting the door just to hide.
Be safe.
Yeah, to be safe. That was my safe place. My safe place was escape. So as I grew and having a lot of alcohol in the house, my two older sisters, my eldest sister is 10 years older. So when I was 15, she was 25. So she was bringing all of the friends. My mom and dad weren't around. They were working. There was no supervision in the house. Her first husband was a pot dealer. Then she married a Peruvian, and she was flying back and forth from Peru, bringing cocaine in the house.
Oh, wow.
So although
exposed to all this at a very young age.
Exposed at a very young age, and it was not talked about in the house. Now we have a bit more education this day and age about the effects of these substances and these negative coping skills. We're more aware today just because of programs like yours and bringing awareness into society. So my sister was giving me drugs. I began doing drugs, and I did not have any coping skills. I had a very good education. I was in university when I was 16 years old. I graduated 2 years early from college, which, I don't think was the best thing, because then at 16, I was with much older people. I had influence of, different things, and I start to be accepted, to feel loved, to have people around. I began doing what they were doing. And I believed that I was, needed to be in the party scene, and I needed to be around people, and just believed that was fun, that's what we were supposed to do.
You never got any parenting or anybody saying this is not the right path.
That's right. That is exactly right. So that is truly, one of my passions in bringing healing, is the unmet needs. We can be adults and still have unmet needs, things that we did not get when we were children, like structure, like discipline, like good guidance, like love, acceptance, nurture, all of those things that we need. And so when we have those voids in our heart, we begin to fill them with all different things, whether it's shopping, whether it's unhealthy men and unhealthy relationships that aren't good for us, whether it's drugs, whether it's sex, whether it's, gambling, alcohol, drugs, all of these things are coping skills, negative coping skills that we develop because we don't know any better.
But then you got married and moved to
Yes.
Venezuela.
I got married, I moved to Venezuela, and at that time I was doing drugs. My husband, who's a good Jewish man, a lawyer, had no idea what I was doing. I totally hid it from him for years. So I married into a very well-to-do family in Caracas, Venezuela. Again, I had everything that I could want in the physical realm, but I was a closet addict. So my husband would go to work all day and I would use all day and go to the club, drink, use all day. And then right before he would get home, I would try and clean up, brush my teeth, hide, and sit down at dinner. And I lived a masquerade for years. And then because he was the firstborn son of the firstborn son, they wanted me to have a child, but I knew that I was doing coke. At that point, I started smoking crack, and in South America they call it basuco and crack. And so I am desperate to just get relief from the pain that I was feeling from the lies that I believed from a child. And if a difficult circumstance arose in my life, if there was a discussion, if there was a confrontation, if any difficult circumstance, I did not have the tools to deal with those circumstances. I would either feel rejected or abandoned or not loved, or like I made such a great mistake that I was a mistake and I had to escape.
But with all the means that you had, didn't you ever think of asking for help? Or
I believe, no, I actually did not. And we had there, there's something called pride. And we say pride comes before the fall. And sometimes you're too strong for your own good or too smart for your own good, and we don't realize. And because that was what I had learned, that was normal. Dysfunction was normal in the household. So I couldn't even recognize the extreme dysfunction because it was normal to me. So it wasn't until I got, I was drinking and using drugs all day, every day. And my husband was like, what is the matter with you? Something's the matter with you. And then I was in denial. So, and so was he and those around me, because I was very good at wearing masks. And like I always said, I could go to the Ritz or the Roadhouse and be a chameleon and morph into who you wanted me to be.
But you knew the right from wrong because you knew how to put the mask in certain situations.
Absolutely.
So you knew that what you were doing was not right.
I knew what I was doing was not right. And to such an extent that I hid it from everybody. I was a closet addict. And I knew it was wrong, but I could not stop, because, that's what addiction is, right? It is, it is being locked into patterns of behavior and thoughts that we cannot stop. And we need help.
Correct. But did you get pregnant at any point?
Yes, that's a very good question. So I thought that when it became very obvious that I had a problem, I thought, well, I'll have a baby and that'll fix it. So I got pregnant and had my son, who's now 27 years old, and he couldn't help me. That baby could not help me. And after I had him, I went right back to using again. And so then after my husband found out, what I did was I started hiding and disappearing because I wanted to continue to use. And then I knew people knew. So from that point, he said, listen, we're going to send you back to Miami, and you'll be able to be around your family, because I was in Caracas. So then I had another child. I had my baby girl, and I moved to Florida. I moved to Miami. And then I quickly discovered that there was a lot of drugs in 2000 in Miami. But what happened was I got arrested. I got arrested for driving under the influence. And I actually had cocaine in my car, and for possession. So for the wife of a nice Jewish lawyer, this was not acceptable. Yeah, yikes. So then they wanted me, I got put on probation, and I kept violating probation. And then one day the probation officer came and arrested me and put me in jail. So I'm, living next door to the city commissioner in Hollywood, and I'm getting arrested in front of all my neighbors for violation of probation. And my husband comes in and he takes the children. So when he flew the children back to Caracas, I had so much pain and so much failure. And now I'm a bad wife. I'm a bad mother. I'm a bad daughter. I'm a complete failure, and I have nothing to live for. So I might as well do as much drugs and do whatever, because now I have nothing to live for. Everything's gone. I've lost everything. I am a mistake. And so the lies are just being reinforced by everything, the situations in my life.
Correct.
Yeah. So then I get into jail, and I begin to see women, volunteers, that are coming in, and I would see them there, and I said, why are you, this is what I said, why are you ladies in here wasting time on us trash? Because I believe that every woman in that jail were failures, that time and energy should not be wasted on people that are so.
You didn't believe that you deserved the second chance.
I didn't believe that I deserved a second chance, or love, or life, or hope, or dreams, anything, because I believed I was a mistake and a failure. But one of those ladies said to me, if you only knew how beautiful you are, how God has created you for a plan and a purpose, for good things, not for evil. If you would believe and receive the love, everything would change. And when that woman looked at me and said those things, it planted seeds in my heart that had never been planted, or I don't know if had never been planted, but I could not hear it.
Correct. Now you were able to open and listen.
Yes, because no pun intended, I was captive audience. I'm in jail.
Nowhere to go.
So, yeah. So I say, if a loved one of yours gets in trouble or is in jail, it's not necessarily a bad thing. We pray and believe that, they can be quiet and hear, and it can be a time of transformation, not a time of punishment. And it's your identity that, a felon is not my identity. That's not who I am anymore, because I learned the truth.
So jail actually saved you.
100%. 100% it did. And I got to the point after I lost my children that I did ask God to help me. I asked God to help me. And when I went to jail, I couldn't do drugs anymore. I couldn't get a hold of drugs. I couldn't, I couldn't escape. I had to face, And that when we've made terrible mistakes, it is very hard to face and go through the process of change. And we need help, right? And you know, that is one of the passions of my heart, like you opened up saying, is to bring the empowerment tools to inspire all people to walk in their destiny, to walk in unconditional love, right? Learning that we are not defined by our culture, things that have been spoke over us, our experiences, our traumas. In no way am I negating any horrible thing that has happened to anybody. But what I've learned over the years is it's not what's happened to us only. It's what we do with those circumstances and those things which happen to us. Either I can stay in a place of escaping bitterness, unforgiveness, fear, resentment, grudges, anger, or I can get the help that I need to overcome these bitter roots that have that are growing in my heart, right? So because my heart is a garden, and it's poisoning me and it's poisoning those around us, right? But yeah.
No.
But I didn't know better. We have to learn, right?
So that's when you studied to become a reverend.
Yes. Well, you know what? When I was in jail, I had no place else to look but up. And I was praying to God to help me. And in the 12 steps of recovery, it said, I admitted I'm powerless over blank, and my life has become unmanageable. You can put anything in that blank. Whatever's causing you dysfunction, whatever's causing you pain, whatever's causing you a lack of peace and chaos in your life, you can put it in that blank. I'm powerless over unforgiveness, and my life has become unmanageable. I'm powerless because of anger. My life has become unmanageable. I'm powerless because of drugs. My life has become unmanageable. And I came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. I have to, right? And then I committed to the process. It's not easy. We don't get this way overnight, and change doesn't happen overnight. We don't just snap our fingers, right? And say, okay, I'm fine. So we need support. So that's when I ended up going actually to a home where I needed a total transformation. So I chose to submit myself a recovery program where I needed to change the way I was thinking. Because as a man thinks, so is he. Self-fulfilling prophecy. You reap what you sow. What goes around comes around. However you want, in whatever terms you want to put it, that's a law that happens. So I was reaping everything that I had sown into my life. So I needed to transform my thinking. I needed a total change and transformation of my heart. So yes, yeah.
That's how you got it.
Yeah. So what do we needed to do? You know, I needed to learn to respond and not react. I needed to learn to have bold conversations and difficult conversations. And I needed to be vulnerable and express what was really going on in my life and be real and admit that I needed help. That's not wrong.
Beyond
We're
the
not,
pride, beyond the
pardon
pride,
me?
beyond the pride that you were talking about before.
That's right. That's right. You know, we are not created to do things alone. We have people
Yeah.
around us. I had to learn to get around safe people, right? That we're seeing me not for who I was, but for who I was supposed to be. A powerful, loving, contributing member of society, a mother, a loving wife, a loving daughter. That's who we're created to be. And to change that chaos into peace
So
by getting the tools that I needed to be successful.
do you have a relationship now with your son and daughter?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I actually did not raise my son and daughter. They were raised by their father. And, you know, had I not had the support system of the safe, authentic people that would speak the truth in love, hey, Candice, you know, I think that might not be a wise decision. We all have blind spots.
Yes.
And we need people around us that are brave, that will speak truth to us. And that's not always difficult to hear. You know, being a mother figure or a mentor in somebody's life, I always compare it to raising children. It's easy to have a child, but it's difficult to raise a child. So if I'm committed to healing, to bringing help to people, it's not always easy. When I was going through the process, and I believe that we're still all in process, none of us arrived. We are all daily. I don't know about you. I'm looking to grow. I'm looking to increase. I'm looking to learn new things. I'm looking to connect with new people like yourself and your organization, to influence the world in a positive, loving, forgiving, hopeful manner. That's what I want to be bringing when I walk into the room.
So that's when you started the ministry, the prison ministry?
Yeah, prison ministry was birthed out of the place of, I want people to know in prison that they are loved, that they made mistakes, but they're not mistakes. So when I go into the prison, which is actually, it's through Calvary Chapel, Fort Lauderdale, they actually have what we call a God pod, which has been there for over 20 years. They really do a wonderful, where you come out of general population and you go, and it's essentially programmed. You begin to learn the tools that you need to become a productive member of society. And you learn who you are and who God is, and you know, you learn to dream again. You learn that this is not the end, that this here in jail can actually be, in prison can actually be the beginning of the rest of your life. So because I received so much in jail, which is like the craziest thing, but I have seen hundreds, if not thousands of women come through the jails, transformed and helped and planted. I love to say that, you know, we scatter seeds, and sometimes we don't always see those seeds grow, because sometimes other people have to come and water those seeds in people's life and pour life onto the seeds that are. So I like to say, I go into the jail to scatter seeds that bring life. And part of those is the testimony of my own life.
Correct.
Was it easy? No. Did I have to look at the things that I had done? Yes. But I learned that I'm altogether lovely. I'm altogether beautiful. There's a plan and a purpose for my life, for good things. And I am not defined
by a mistake.
By drugs.
Yes. And now, because we're like getting to the end of our conversation.
Oh my goodness, it went so
You know,
fast.
I know. You also have a nonprofit.
Yes.
That shines light.
Yes.
It's love. It's amazing.
Yes, it's lovebrave.org. And our mission is to raise up a movement of passionate, powerful, free, and vulnerable people who give and call forth love. And we provide the tools to create an atmosphere to fearlessly express what's going on and to bring healing. We do this through small groups, gatherings. We have a transformation series, which we're transforming we bring the tools to transform our hearts and our minds and to break bondage. So, enabling, denial, all the things surrounded around being stuck in bondage. Taking our thoughts captive, all of that stuff.
What about What's of Love? Of the global
Lots of Love is another wonderful organization that was birthed from a friend of mine. Her name is Nancy Economo. And at 48 years old, she had a dream in her heart to bring solar lighting to the darkest places on the earth. And you know what? I just want to speak to everybody listening out there that it's never too late to step out into your dreams, into the things that have been placed in your heart. At 48 years old, she said, I'm going to do this thing. She, got the love and support of her friends that were not what we call naysayers. Oh no, you'll never be able to do that. That's never gonna, no, go, we're your cheerleaders. You'll be able to do it. And 10 years later, she has been taking solar lights. She's in over 52 nations right now. And the focus is on women and children to ignite their entrepreneurial gifts, whether it's to, bead or plant or make a farm or whatever it is. So we not only bring light, but we bring financial literacy, and we also teach the people that are living in dark nations to step out into their dreams and know who they are, regardless of the circumstances and situations that they're living in.
Oh, we're definitely having Nancy on board.
Yes, yes.
But with this, I want to really thank you. And
thank you, Gladys.
Remind me of something. Whenever they say you can't, just say, I will.
Amen. That's good. That's a good word. And for anybody listening out there, just know that there's no shame in asking for help. That, connect with some people that are safe and that want to love you. And there are many out there, and feel free to email me or connect on lovebrave.org. And thank you, Gladys.
No, thank you. You have been amazing and very inspiring to everyone.
Yes.
Be safe. And until next week.
Yes.
Take care.